Good day everyone. This is John Mark Valderrama Mugbuhos, and I'm here to report my topic, which is dealing with global economy and dealing with political globalization. Under Chapter 12, dealing with resisting and the future of globalization. To begin with, let's define what is global economy. Global economy refers to the interconnected worldwide economic activities that take place between multiple countries. From the word interconnected, ibig sabihin, yung pagkakaroon ng ugnayan sa pagitan ng mga bansa na export at saka export. In dealing with global economy, from the perspective of what which needs to be responded to, no issue gets more attention, undoubtedly mainly because of the profound economic inequality in the world than the economy. They examined three broad ways of responding to resisting economic globalization. It has the protectionism, fair trade, and helping the bottom billion. Let's proceed to the protectionism. Protectionism, or more specifically trade protectionism, is a policy of systematic government in foreign trade with the objective of encouraging domestic production. This encouragement involves giving preferential treatment to domestic producers and discriminating against foreign competitors. In protectionism, one of the example of it is the tariff o sinasabi nilang tarifa. Let's say for example, the real situation, yung mga products o produkto na galing ibang bansa, yung mga magulang natin, nyo, na nasa ibang bansa na magpapadala ng mga produkto dito sa Pilipinas, may buwis na pinapataw doon. That's the example of the protectionism. Next, the fair trade. This fair trade is a concern for the social, economic, and environmental well-being of marginalized small producers. From the word marginalized, ibig sabihin, ito yung mga tao na pinagkakaitan ng lugar o karapatan sa lipunan. This fair trade is defined by the International Fair Trade Association. Halimbawa ng fair trade ay yung mga Chilean farmer involved in growing bananas registration by eliminating by herbicide use, reducing chemical fertilizers, building democratic union procedures, raising wages, and establishing a fund or social premium set aside for community projects such as housing improvement, electrification, and environmental monitoring. Maraming produkto or products that focuses on fair trade interest and concern, including coffee, mga saging, cotton, wine, at tsokolate. Gayun pa man, merong limitasyon at problema with fair trade. May maraming katanungan kung ang fair trade system can really supply a mass global market. It's difficult to see how fair trade can be used in the far more globally significant area of mass manufactured products. And while fair trade has made inroads among enlightened consumers in the developed world, it may be harder to get producers, pati na rin ang mga kumukonsumo or those consumer in the less developed world, given far more pressing problems to buy into it. The next broad way in dealing with global economy is helping the bottom billion. What do you mean by bottom billion? Ito yung mga mahirap na tao that needs economic assistance. It indeed that Korea is not a big fan of fair trade. He sees it as a kind of charity to, or halimbawa, coffee growers in less developed countries. He sees it as even less beneficial than straight aid because of higher fair trade prices tend to keep people involved in in what they have always done, that is, in this case, the producing of coffee. The problem is lack of diversification for the least developed countries, and fair trade serves to reinforce a single-minded focus on producing that which serve to lock such countries into poverty. So let's proceed to the next topic, which is dealing with political globalization. So as was the case with economic issues, there is a near endless array of things that can be done to deal with global political problems. The accountability, transparency, and the Transparency International. So let's move on to the accountability. Accountability meaning the obligation and willingness to accept responsibility for one's action. So according to German 2004, that political organizations, including the nation state, need to be held more accountable for their actions. On the other hand, the decline of the nation state has freed various organizations from the constraints of being embedded in it. With the nation state of declining importance or out of the picture, the issue arises of to whom or to what such organizations are to be held accountable politically. Furthermore, there is more practical problem of whether there is any way that political organizations can be held accountable. So in transparency, let's proceed to the transparency. In transparency, all types of organization, including and perhaps partially political organizations, are generally inclined to secrecy on many matters, and this means that much of what they do is not transparent. So halimbawa is the lack of transparency by Iran in terms of its nuclear weapons program, as well as by the US and the Israel, which has never publicly revealed that it has a nuclear weapons program that has produced a number of nuclear weapons, over whether they have plans to attack Iran should it be shown to be getting close to obtaining nuclear weapons. So some of the most interesting discussions deal with these case studies, such as the Holocaust, World War II crimes, the Tuskegee syphilis study, and so on, which tend to show the deleterious effects of government secrecy. So they also show the movement over time toward more open acknowledgement and discussion of these cases, as well as the ways in which they and innumerable other heinous crimes were greatly aided by the secrecy and opacity that surrounded them. So in a variety of developments have aided and increased transparency, including national justice system and movements, international tribunals, civil society, and more specifically Transparency International. So let's proceed to the Transparency International. It is an INGO or INGO founded in 1993 by Peter Agent, who had become frustrated with his work at the World Bank. Agent felt that he had been forbidden from addressing the issue of corruption in many nations throughout the world because it would adversely affect the image of the World Bank. As a result, Agent left the World Bank and created TI, or the Transparency International, in Berlin, which now has about 100 national chapters. It focuses on combating corruption, especially by pushing for greater transparency. So this TI activities publishes National Integrity System, the TI source book, offering a local activist practical strategies for dealing with corruption and for developing greater transparency. It's also instrumental in negotiating an agreement among global banks to combat money laundering, providing small sums of money to those fighting corruption in less developed countries, as well as efforts to combat corruption and bribes that lead to environmental destruction. Overall, TI, or Transparency International, seeks a world free of corruption and with a far greater transparency. So, however, these are various barriers to the latter, with notable one being the global concern over terrorism, which is leading to greater secrecy and opacity, and this in turn tend to feed greater corruption.